Seems pretty straightforward.
I think so, yeah. Funeral.
They can try,
That left no.
yeah, we got, it's gotta be in a contained area that children can't come up to.
All yours, Gary.
We shall start what we have. Call the meeting to order, say the pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Of course not.
Okay. Additions to agenda or changes? None heard? We'll go on, approval of minutes.
He's got a question.
Oh, excuse me.
Just a suggestion. I wonder if you would list the names of the council members at the bottom of the agenda? That'd really be helpful.
At the bottom of the
Yeah,
agenda?
the agenda.
You mean just print that every time we do it?
Sure. I'm afraid from here, your name tags look like the bottom line on an eye chart.
That's the purpose. We want to remain anonymous. That's it. No, we can do that. Can you put a note for that for Julie?
Yes.
Thanks.
Okay.
And then maybe a finance committee update.
Well, actually, I was waiting for his summary, which hasn't come in because he's
Okay.
good.
Okay.
It was, yeah, we'll wait on that.
Okay.
Okay. Approval of minutes. We have minutes for the March 6th special session meeting, February 18th meeting. Any discussion on that? Take a motion to approve the minutes.
Move to approve. Minutes.
Second.
Yeah, motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All in-
I can only do the February minutes,
Okay. We'll
Roll
get
call.
that on the roll call. Yeah, we'll do the roll call. Go ahead.
Darren?
Yes.
Judy? For February.
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Joel?
Yes.
Okay.
Patrick Nylander and Jim Kemp will not be able to join us today. Okay, so the minutes are taken care of. Did you get Judy on both sides of that?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, the next item is the 2025 salary ordinance. You say you've got that, Sandy?
Yes, you should have the final copy.
Okay. Any thoughts, questions on that?
I may have missed it on our email. Is this, can I see, review this? Did we get this? I don't think I saw it.
I don't remember seeing that either. Okay,
I
did you?
emailed it to everybody.
Did you? Okay.
I believe you.
Yeah, yeah. Was it on that email? There were a couple other attachments, agenda, and for some reason I missed it. Okay.
I'm not getting that kind of email right now. Bill and I just discussed it, so
Oh,
for right
okay.
now, things need to come to Teresa DeYoung.
Well, if you want to put it on hold until next meeting, and then I'll email it to everybody.
It's fine. I move we table it.
Second, motion's made to table it till next meeting. Made and seconded. Roll call?
Darren?
Yes.
Judy?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Joel?
Yes.
And did Joel second that?
I did.
Next item is recorder ordinance, second reading. We read this last meeting, and it wasn't unanimous, so we need to reread it. Any discussion on that? Questions? We don't have to take a motion, we just have to read it.
You do need a motion and a second and a vote. You can read it. I apologize. You do need a motion, a second and a vote. So you can read it on second reading by title only so that everybody knows what ordinance you're talking about.
I will read the title and we can discuss what to do after that. Ordinance number 2025-002-018-000. Council Bill number 1. An ordinance approving the Brown County Recorder's request to use the named funds of the Brown County, Indiana to support office operating expenses for 2025. Mary Smith is here if we have any further questions.
You take a motion?
We'll take a motion.
I make a motion that we approve Mary's request, which is actually by Indiana code.
Second.
Made and seconded. Any discussion? Take a vote.
Darren?
Yes.
Judy?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Joel?
Yes.
Okay, so it's passed now that we have the second reading. Susan, it's all taken care of.
Yep.
Right?
You all can sign.
Okay. Next item is Perlita, the election board, vote centers.
Actually, it's Mr. Williams.
All righty, Mr. Williams.
I'm standing in for Lita. This is a matter of vote centers. The election board, I brought this to your attention a couple of meetings ago, and that the election board has gone back, has done some work, and on March 11th, put together a unanimous resolution. I asked that that each of you receive a copy of that resolution. The big difference between where I was last time I was here versus now is that we're advised that VR Systems, the poll book vendor, will be continuing in Indiana at least through the 2026 election cycle. As you know, vote centers require poll books. Perhaps the best thing to do, because I'm going to ask you for an action, is to read quickly read the resolution. Whereas the Indiana Code provides for the establishment of vote centers and provides for the creation of vote centers, and whereas the vote centers allow voters to cast their in-person election day ballots at any vote center within their county of residence, regardless of such voters' designated precincts. And whereas vote centers provide convenience to voters as the voting locations may be better distributed along the paths, such voters may travel from election day to election day. Whereas vote centers may well over time reduce election day cost increases in Brown County. And whereas the Brown County schools may now be used for voting on primary and election day, as the Brown County Board of School Trustees has provided that school will be closed on such days. And whereas such school buildings are ADA compliant, whereas the Secretary of State has advised the county clerk that VR Systems will provide service to its poll books through the 2026 election cycle and perhaps longer. And whereas, as a condition of moving forward, the election board seeks the agreement of the Board of Commissioners and the county council by majority vote, that each of them would support the designation of Brown County as a vote center county, provided that any proposed final vote center plan as provided for in the statutes first set forth above shall be submitted to each body for separate approval, such approval being a condition to any final action by the election board. And whereas upon receipt of actions of support from the commissioners and the council, the election board shall appoint a study committee to gauge feasibility and desirability of vote centers in the county, and together with the election board, draft a vote center plan in accordance with Indiana Code 3-11-18.1-3 and present such plan in public hearings as required by statute first above mentioned. Now therefore be it resolved that the chair of the election board seeks the support in the county by each of the Board of Commissioners and the County Council that Brown County be designated vote center county. Such preliminary indication of support in each case being subject to each of the commissioners and the council's approving the final vote center plan before final action by the election board, and be it further resolved that upon receipt of such actions in support by each of the commissioners and the council, the election board shall receive the appointments of a representative from each of the following entities: the Board of Commissioners, the County Council, the chair of the Brown County Democratic Central Committee, the chair of the Republican Central Committee, the Brown County League of Women Voters, the Board of School Trustees, and the election board shall appoint an experienced polling place inspector. And be it further resolved that such appointees shall one, make up the Brown County Vote Center Study Committee. 2, in each meeting shall be chaired by a member of the election board. 3, prepare a draft vote center plan. 4, hold a public hearing to gather information from such plan. 4, and that such committee shall thereafter present a final plan together with all elements as set forth in Indiana Code 3-11-18.1-3 and Indiana Code 3-11-18.14 in a public hearing, thereafter presenting such plan and all elements as set forth above together with public comment received at the final hearing to each of the commissioners and the council for approval before the election board takes final action. And be it further resolved that all of the foregoing be completed by September 1, 2025, unless extended by unanimous vote of the election board. All of this done March 11, 2025 at the regular monthly meeting of the Brown County Election Board, signed Mark Williams, Rick Kelly, and Perlita Banks. So I'm asking council tonight for an action in favor of pursuing vote centers in Brown County pursuant to this resolution and subject to final approval by the commissioners and the council.
So tonight you want us to take a vote to support the vote centers, is that correct?
To support the vote centers subject to a final approval by both the commissioners and you.
Did you say you had a resolution or an ordinance for that?
For you, I did not prepare one.
Yeah, so he has one that the election board, that's what he just read, the election board passed that resolution.
Right.
For you all, if you would like to support it, you can start that process tonight, and at your next meeting, adopt the formal resolution that supports the vote center concept. I mean, in addition to kind of giving at least kind of a nod of the head tonight, I think he's also asking for one of you to serve on the study committee.
Yes.
That could proceed even tonight without your resolution in place.
Okay. So we wouldn't take a formal vote tonight, we would just...
It's kind of a nod on the head. You tell me if that's what you want to do, and I
And-
prepare your resolution for you, which takes your final action and gives that support. So that would come at your next meeting, and then it would be determining if there's any of you that want to sit on the study committee.
And that would be next meeting?
No, you can decide that tonight, because that that process can start. That's not required for you to have your resolution in place before that process starts.
Okay.
And let me make one comment to you. In full disclosure, poll books are necessary to operate those centers. We know that the DR Systems poll books will be available in the 26 cycle. We don't know for sure that they'll be available after that. If we go to vote centers, and if the poll books are not supported by DR Systems after the 2026 election cycle, then we'll have to acquire new poll books, and we'll be able to salvage value out of the existing DR Centers poll books, but we'll have to acquire new poll books if they decide not to support it.
So if we don't do vote centers, we're still gonna need new poll books, correct?
If you don't do vote centers, you'll still need new poll books if they decide not to support it.
So if we don't do vote centers, we're gonna end up having to get more poll books than we would if we approved vote centers.
Want there to be any misunderstanding on the issue, but the question you asked is exactly right.
Along those lines, Susan, I think our review of this, it's a little bit strange for us to review election matters other than in our budget. And so I think our review is fiscal only here. I mean,
Sure. I do think that the election board will have to come to you with the costs of switching to vote centers, because there may be additional vote machines that are needed, right? Additional equipment for poll workers to successfully operate. It depends on their numbers, how many vote centers they need to have and what their equipment is now. But in addition to that, I do think that's your action. I do think he's asking one of you to sit on that study committee to look at exactly those things and to give a little bit of the perspective from council so that they're not going out here creating a plan that the council will absolutely not support and doesn't have the money for, all right? So.
Okay.
So what you need, what would be helpful for you from us is just a motion to start the process of a resolution for the next meeting.
It doesn't, that part doesn't have to be a motion. That's directing me to start the work if that's what you want. If you want a resolution that supports the vote center idea, again, I'll prepare it. I'll have it for you at your April meeting so that you can pass it then. It's a resolution, so it only requires one reading. And then, again, who of you would like to sit on the study committee, if any of you would? But in terms of, do we need a vote right now to tell me to start? The answer to that is no. But if somebody doesn't want me to prepare a resolution for next meeting, they need to be piping up now, because it looks to me like you all are kind of in agreement to go ahead and prepare a resolution.
well, and Mark, to kind of that point, I mean, does a month delay make any difference to you?
Well, we have a drop dead date is September 1st, so, but I have to have a favorable action by the commissioners as well.
Well, the issue would be is if one of our people is on your board, they can still function in the next month. We could keep
Sure.
it moving.
Sure,
That's basically what's going to be happening.
sure.
I mean, it's nice to operate with a written resolution, but I think this resolution would be a motion saying we support the approach of the election board pursuing the process as defined, right, in there. And so, I mean, it could be, if you, I don't want to throw a 30, I mean, that's my only thing. It's pretty simple, right? And maybe, it does kind of, if I'm reading him right, it would kind of, it's not helpful for us to wait a month. Is that
It was
true?
not helpful. I mean, what I would request is, and I'm not sure your learned counsel, but would be for you to approve the vote center process as set forth in the unanimous vote center resolution of the election board dated March 11, 2025.
Can we make what he just said a verbal resolution and get that in writing?
Yeah, I mean, you can, the written document is your formal resolution, but you can do that tonight, absolutely.
We could pass it, and then we could draft it, and we could sign it
Right.
at the next meeting, or, I guess the other thing is, the one thing I didn't see in that resolution, and I'm sure I missed it, but it was the actual support of the election board for the effort. Did I miss that, where the election board itself didn't? I was looking for the board's support in the resolution you passed, but it was more
Assure
procedural.
you that if there was no support on the election board, that unanimous resolution would have never been signed.
And that was my other, we got an unsigned resolution, but I think you said it was unanimous,
Yes.
so, okay. So,
Okay,
yeah,
so does somebody want to make a verbal resolution? You're good at that, Darren.
Okay, I will move and create a resolution to, Mark, let me know if I'm saying this right, to support the resolution voted on by the election board at the March 11th meeting,
Yes,
resolution number,
it doesn't have a resolution number.
is that
did you,
covered?
I mean, that's one way to do it, or you could say, we support it, and so you could get action tonight, I mean, if
Well,
there's
on
support.
an actual written resolution, we can't just have, we support it.
Well, Susan says we can put it in play just verbally tonight, and she'll formalize it next time. So it is in play, it is going that direction. You can move accordingly.
A simple resolution based on the agreement we just had.
Yeah.
And what I recommended was to approve the vote center process as set forth in the election board's resolution on November 11th, 2025.
That's what I mean, and I think the
To
difference,
make that resolution.
yeah, and I could, yeah, I think,
Okay.
did you get that, Sandy? So Mark's resolution
All right.
is, okay.
Yeah.
Second,
Made and seconded, in discussion. Roll call.
Darren,
Yes.
Judy,
Yep.
Scott,
yes.
Gary,
Yes.
Joel,
Yes.
I would be most interested in learning whomever you select. to-
Well, next time, Ms. who would like to be on that board?
You thought we were gonna skirt right past that, didn't you, Scott?
Notice everybody just sit back.
I think
I've
you should
been-
have let Scott to do that.
No, Darren's way more experienced at elections than I am.
I've worked in
Well,
Spectre
this
before.
is
so I
your
can-
chance to learn.
You mind, Darren?
If everybody wants me to, yeah. If nobody else wants to, I mean, it is a good.
Relita
learning
wants
experience.
Scott.
Everybody
Oh,
wants to-
yeah, you've done it for years though, right? The election.
Scott's working in the legislature
I've
up
got,
in state.
yeah.
You coward.
Yeah.
You coward.
Yeah, right. I'll switch you
Come on,
to the
Darren.
legislative stuff, I'll tell you that, yeah.
Darren will do it. All right.
When would I be needed?
Pardon me?
When would I be needed?
I don't know. It just, as it depends on the action of the commissioners, but hopefully we'll have all of our other appointments, and we would be having a meeting a couple of weeks after an favorable action by the commissioners, I would hope.
Thank
All
you.
right, so it's subject to that, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. New business, we have auditor appropriations and transfer. Do you want to say anything about that, Sandy?
no?
No? Okay,
Do you have any questions on that, I should say?
yeah, well, what it is stuff for here, 36,000. Having talked to Julie, she said there's $36,000 she.
I might want to say something.
Is that Julie?
Hey, she's there.
Well, surprise. There you go. Say something.
Which appropriation are you doing first?
$36,000. Well,
For
you
the
want to go,
budgets?
you want to go through the 13.8, the personal services, supplies, then other services and charges? Do you want to break it out? It's your call.
The the
Total's $36,000.
36,000, the 36,000 was things that had been missed at the budget and needed to be added to the budgets.
Correct.
What are those?
Yeah, what are those?
Basically, there's 12,000 that needed to be added to the prosecutor's budget. There's also, the rest was the clerk's election budget.
That was the 19,000 for the clerk's election.
It's 20,
Other services. You
I'm
got
sorry?
Three lines here. You've got personal services for 13,800, supplies for 3,100, and other services and charges for $19,277. Total of 36,176.
I don't have that in front of me, so I can't actually answer that question.
So the clerk
It's actually
was
down on my desk.
Okay. But the clerk, I understand, was basically the $19,000 figure?
The 12,000 was prosecutor, the rest of it belongs to the clerk's election budget.
All right, any thoughts on that, questions? It's a fact of life. We have to do it, correct?
Yes.
All right, this is all gonna come under one big motion, correct?
It is.
Yes.
All right. So that part, no more questions for Julie on this? We'll move on to the health department. All right. Okay, tell me, you wanna come up briefly? Melissa can't be here. We had this presentation
Yes.
at our special session on the 6th. So we're just reviewing it briefly here.
So you should have received all the information about the different funds and the request to appropriate the 3218, the 59,7, 3867, and the 6122 into the right fund items. And so we need approval on those. And then the last thing is to make available the balance of the 4016 Return of Health Fund clinic money so that we are able to do the needed repairs on the building, on the clinic. So do I have any questions for me on that I can answer?
The use of the funds, the source of the funds, we talked about at our special meeting, trying to find a different place other than some of those critical mental health funds that we're drawing from and community health funds. This looks like we're not changing anything based on this appropriation, which I'm sure you didn't do, but just want an update on that, if possible.
I do know Melissa did make a contact, but it still remains the same. We need to use the funds, and there really is nothing in the county that is available to us at this time. And this is a critical nature project, that, we've explained that to you, so.
And the Jeep or the vehicle purchases in there too?
I didn't see that in my notes, so I'm not sure
When
what that was.
I talked to her, the vehicle purchases in there.
Okay.
The county health department has always purchased their own vehicles from the tobacco settlement money is not from the county.
Okay,
County's never purchased them.
okay, yeah, because I wasn't familiar. She handed me a paper right before she left, and I didn't see that, so I'm not exactly sure. So I know that she spoke to you about that, yeah. So basically, it's exactly what she had brought up at the previous meeting. And again, that one, we've been saving that $121,000 for a clinic, but we have this building now, and we've been using it as a clinic. And we feel that, we have an obligation because it doesn't matter where the money comes from. That building is owned by the county, which means it's owned by the people of Brown County. And we are obligated to provide the services that they need in a clean environment. So it's really important that we get this thing started, that we can offer those services in a safe place for people that are coming in.
Yeah, within the building, you're operating a clinic.
Yes.
Yeah, no question, you got to fix the building, right? The question is, where does the money come from? And my concern at our special meeting was we are pulling it from sources that are irreplaceable.
That's right.
For critical unmet needs to fund vehicles and
Well, no, this
anticipated
120
repairs,
was specifically designed for a health clinic.
No, I get that. I get that.
Right.
But
That's the only one that's irreplaceable. The other ones are continuous. as far as we know now, and have been since the 90s.
Mhm.
And they have always been for supplies, refrigerators, vehicles, additional personnel if needed. When I was there, that's what stores there are
Right.
earmarked.
It's still
They
the same.
cannot do anything that the state tells them they cannot do.
And is that 1160?
I have to say.
Yeah, look, it's not cigarette tax, it's,
Well, it used to be cigarette tax. It's now called the trust fund.
and this is the trust fund, I think, 1160, I
it could
think.
be.
is-
Right, it's kind
It could be.
of leftover
And
money.
that's cigarette tax money, is that what you're?
Yeah,
Okay.
they call it the trust fund now.
Okay, so it's changed, okay, I was
Yeah, but
confused, I
it
thought,
was, it's still cigarette
Kind of
tax money, but they call it
semantics,
the trust fund
okay,
now.
but we also have a separate cigarette tax, don't we have a?
It's all combined together.
No, they combined it?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
there were like 2 or 3 actually at one time.
okay.
And they combined them all now into the trust fund.
Well, that helps me,
Okay.
I'm okay with that equipment,
I'm
you
glad
know,
you
that
got it
purchase,
here.
it's the community fund,
Yeah.
you know, for a long-term capital investments. Have you had a chance to talk to the commissioners about the building and the expense yet, and where it fits into their budget?
I can't affirm, but I know that Melissa did approach one of the commissioners and it
Okay,
didn't look favorable, let's put it that way. And we really can't wait. It's something we gotta do now.
well, and I understand that, but it is, you know,
You know, and if money pops in and it's like they're available to us, you know, maybe they can reimburse us on that, so.
The 121,000 you're talking about, was that a grant or is that part of the?
That was part of it down at, years ago, by, I think Lily's,
No,
was it Lily's or was
No.
I know, I'm not aware, it was before me.
tell Judy.
we had what was called the Brown County Health Support Clinic.
Right,
The IU School of Nursing initially had the clinic over here from about 95 up until about 2007 or 8. They turned it over to the Brown County Health Department. We ran a clinic for a short period of time.
right. I think right
HCI.
after that period, I joined the health
Right.
department, I think.
Health Centers Inc., at one point, we donated the money to them because they were hopeful to build a clinic here as well,
Right.
and they were unable to do so. They donated the money back to Brown County Health
So
Department.
exactly where did the funds come?
It was from, when we had the clinic, people would donate money, whatever fees that we took in, which were minimal, that kind of thing. It was also some leftover carryover money from the grants that came in from the state, but majority of it was donations and that kind of thing,
Okay.
for
I
fees for
remember that.
services. And so we have had that money forever and ever.
Mhm.
And so it just sits there, and to be used for a clinic. I agree with you, you're using it as a clinic,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
I think you should use it to take care of the issues
Yeah.
out there, so that it's a healthy place to work and for people to come and get their healthcare needs as far as vaccinations and whatever else happens
Exactly.
down the pipe.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion.
And how much of that in total are you using?
Pardon?
How much of that in total are you using?
How, will we use?
How much of the 121 will you use?
Eventually, we'll probably deplete it because I think the estimate we got was like, I don't have that in front of me. I can't really say, but there's
I
other
thought you told me
repairs.
70,000.
Something like that. I thought it was between 70, 80,000 just to get that repair done. And then, you know, there's always peripheral stuff that comes up at the end because a few other maintenance items that she mentioned that will have to go along with that.
So to kind of summarize what you said, Judy, this was money that was intentionally collected and designated for establishing and running a health clinic.
And maintaining
Yes.
a clinic. Yep.
What you have at the health department, at the building out there, is that
Right, we see
particular health
clients,
clinic.
we
You
see
are running
patients
that.
come in for shots and
They are running
consultations.
Yeah, it's clearly a clinic.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there's no
That is
question
in
about it.
line with what the money was provided
Right.
for. So
There is
I-
not any major guidelines beyond what we've just spoken
Right.
about.
So again, I mean, it's not the.
So it sounds to me
Yeah.
like they're using it for its intended purpose of running and maintaining and keeping a health clinic in a healthy state to use
Yeah.
as community health.
No, I get
clinic.
it.
So-
And I understand what you're saying. You're saying
Yeah.
the building was owned by the commissioners and now we're investing money in the commissioner's building, but
Well, no,
To me-
it's more, we have lots of county buildings, right? This
Right.
is one of many that all have hundreds of thousands, probably millions of dollars in maintenance needs, right? And what happens every year is this council passes a budget, and then we get hundreds of thousands of dollars in unforeseen requests for building repairs that come not to the commissioners, they come straight to the council. And in this case, we're depleting, and there's no plan. So we end up just writing check after check after check with no safety net of the people overseeing the buildings and the capital plan. And so that's part of my problem with this is, there's probably 5 people behind Tommy with similar requests. We just don't see them yet, right? Coming months, they're just going to keep showing up, right? And we keep bleeding out and we keep drawing from funds that are meant, that could provide, in my opinion, a very positive kind of investment, rather than mold remediation, which I understand it's got to happen. But, I don't like the way we're handling it. These things are still popping out of nowhere and they're still not going through the building management of the commissioners, which is desperately needed.
I think that is in play now that the commissioners are moving ahead proactively on that. It will be probably about a year or two to get that in order where we track preventative maintenance and such on buildings. So this issue, yes, it is what you described there, but we're trying to stop that. I think that is in play. So your issue is your issue. Yeah.
And the money they're planning on using was designated for a health clinic, and this is maintaining and cleaning and
The health
preparing the health clinic to be a healthy health clinic.
Right.
I mean, it sounds like the money is being used for its intended purpose.
Okay.
So that being the case, that clears up any reservation.
Yeah. Susan?
Because it can't be used for any,
That's
it
right.
can't be used for any other purpose. So
I mean, it could be used for something other than maintenance, and kind of that's what I was hoping for, is right? Maybe at our other health clinic, a new investment that would actually expand health services, but, so I just hate to pour it towards maintenance, long-term maintenance on a building we've known is coming for a long time and pulling it from a fund that's meant for long-term capital improvement. So that's just, I'm a no, but I'm 1 out of 7, so.
I don't think we know what's coming down the pipe with alpha-gal, bird flu, all those things, which are going to be handled through the health department. That's just my thought.
Susan, do you have something?
I just want to be clear, your role is to approve an appropriation. They still have to go to the commissioners to approve the quotes and the work being done. Like that's not what you're approving. You're not approving the quotes or work being done. You're appropriating the money to allow them to get the quotes that then go to the commissioners, and the commissioners will look to approve those quotes and the projects that they present.
Yeah, we're picking the funding source, right? Yep.
Yeah, it is unfortunate. The building does need remediation to be even healthy, but
Sure.
it should be the healthiest building.
It should be.
How
Yes.
long have we owned that, Tommy?
We've been there, 3 years?
Okay,
You've been there, but,
you've been there 3, yeah.
I thought we had that conversation in our last meeting, and I can't remember why we decided to bring it forward to this.
we had it, we just want to confirm, actually take action on it this meeting.
Well, and I asked him to find another source of funding and to talk to commissioners in our last meeting, so.
So we've had our discussion, we're ready to take a motion. Actually, all of
Yeah.
the appropriations are both within the auditor and within the health department. So we'll take a motion, additional appropriation ordinance 2025 number. Do you have a number, Sandy?
2025 003 017 000.
All right, that's Council Bill number 3. Whereas it has been determined that it is now necessary to appropriate more money than was appropriated in the annual budget, now therefore, Section 1, be it resolved by the County Council of Brown County, Indiana, that for the expenses of the taxing unit and the following additional sums of money are hereby appropriated out of the funds named named and for the purposes specified, subject to the laws governing the same. I'll just read the lines. General Fund 1,000, line 10,000, personal services 13,800, line 20,000, supplies $3,100, line 30,000, other services and charges 19,277, for a total of the general fund of $36,177. From the health fund, line 10,000, personal services $5,261. From the HFI fund, 1160. From personal line 10,000, personal services, 6,129. Line 20,000, supplies, 3,218. Line 30,000, other services and charges, 10,688. Line 40,000, capital outlays, $42,921. And from the return of funds, Health Clinic Fund 4016, line 40,000, capital outlays, $121,556. Take a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Made and seconded. We did. Go ahead, discussion.
The 121, mold remediation in that size of building, I think you're gonna hit that, you're gonna use all of it, I think, but I thought I heard you say it was more like 70. So what I wanna make sure of is if the project is 70, we don't just kind of pour the rest into some unknown project. We put it somewhere, so do you know the answer to that? Are you?
I don't.
So, but you see what I'm saying? I don't wanna just, I mean, that would be an extra $30,000-$40,000 that's unaccounted for coming out of that fund. So if you need less than that, I'd rather.
I'm just doing what Melissa asked me to do, and what we
Yeah.
voted on at the board was to move the whole thing over. Because if it goes more, then, we'll be in trouble. We don't want to come here and ask for more money.
Would you just mind letting us know if there's leftover money that's significant?
Sure will.
Okay. Motion's been made and seconded. Roll call?
Darren,
Yes.
Judy,
Yes.
Scott,
No.
Gary,
Yes.
Joel,
Yes.
Okay, motion's been passed.
We'll do second reading next month.
Okay, second reading, right, because it wasn't unanimous.
Thank you.
Okay. And then I had
You got that?
another note on here. I'm not sure whether I was supposed to bring this up, but it's here. Request to file for public health crisis response cooperative agreement grant.
I did see that. Yeah, where was that?
And all that is permission to go for Corey to apply for it. There's no money coming from any other source. We just need permission that he can fill out the grant. It's undetermined how much money we can get, but it's up to like $100,000 is available.
And that's just a straight grant, no matching.
Yes, straight grant, no matching,
And I
just to
know
help
he does
with
that.
public emergencies. So,
And he's keeping in touch with the auditor's office on their papers at
Oh, yeah.
work on that?
Corey's
That's fine.
great on that, yeah.
Someone sent that out too,
Mhm.
or it was in her letter. Yeah,
Right.
the summary of that grant, so, yeah.
Just wanna let you know he's doing that. I don't know.
Yeah, and I think that's your notice, like with our grant. Sandy, don't we have to, the council, we've got that new grant policy, they're just supposed to come tell us, I think that's what
Right.
that just was. So I think
Exactly,
we're
yes.
good.
You're good.
Thank you.
Anything else?
No, thank you.
Appreciate your time. Thanks.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda is to discuss or vote on a temporary hiring freeze for additional employees. We do need to vote on that if that's the case, is it not, Susan? To not hire additional employees?
I think that, I'm not sure what this discussion is, I'm going to say that. I mean, if you are telling people to not spend an appropriated budget, you're going to need a vote on that, yes.
Okay. Yeah,
If they have an open position in their office that you have already appropriated a budget for and put that person in the salary ordinance, then yes, it's going to take action from you in order to stop that process.
it's a new position in the budget that we would probably want to just hold on because of the tight budget.
Would you mind just, I was actually happy to see this on the agenda, but not sure where it came from. Could you just, I don't know, maybe just fill the council in on kind of what you're thinking here?
Well, the incident that would, I think is in play on that is the EMA having an assistant at this point. And I don't know that that's something we'd like to push into the budget due to our constraints financially. And you do have Chad and Corey who are active in that area. So that's basic thinking at this point. Any thoughts?
So it's new,
Assistant Director of EMA.
right, but I mean, it's not folks that are already appropriated.
No.
Okay, I agree.
Yeah. We've seemed to have gotten along reasonably well without it so far. And I'm just not saying we wouldn't do it next year, but with our budget constraints, it might be prudent to just constrain ourselves for that.
I mean, I think, you know, what we know is happening in the legislative session right now, which is a pretty
Right.
significant cut for us.
Right.
And it's still very much evolving. This kind of thing is, you know, I think it's important that we make some proactive moves to maintain our operating reserves as much as possible. Now, we've done this before. We always have to exclude public safety position, right? We always go through, okay, this is for non-emergency positions, right? What we don't want to do is, you know, delay a deputy being hired by 30 days because they're waiting for us to take a vote or something, right? We want to make sure we get that right, I think.
Yeah, so I think that kind of diverges into two different conversations. The conversation that I heard Gary say was that this is a new position. The position is not currently created within the county department, and it is not in their budget currently and not in the salary ordinance. Is that correct?
That's what I heard.
That is my understanding.
Okay, so, right, so that would take action by you before they could hire anyway. So then the next question is Scott's question of, are you going to put in place a freeze to not fill open positions that are already in the budget and in the salary ordinance? That's, I think, what your question is, correct?
I mean, that's my suggestion, that we consider that. I mean, that's what I thought you were going to bring up here.
So you mean someone leaves, which is what you're saying?
I think and I think legislative session, we should know by, well, now there's probably going to be a special session. So by mid-year, we should know. So I think it's kind of and when we know, and we will know at that point if we can, you know, the financial condition we're in, and so it would be I think it's a good thing for us to seriously consider. I mean, maybe we could push it to our work session, but I mean, that's a month, you know, down the road to make a hiring freeze decision, but we got to get the public safety positions right, I think. Because right now, there are advertised positions, and we're going to have some issues with, right, I mean, and so with other positions that have already been offered, it feels a little quick, but I think it's somewhat urgent also at the same time that we put in some budget constraints.
Ken, are you saying to not fill positions that go vacant?
Yeah, I mean, that's what a hiring freeze typically is, right? You don't hire.
It was stated here is for additional employees
I'm not sure what you're looking,
on the agenda.
oh, for additional employees, meaning,
Correct, new employees.
Created a new position.
Correct.
yeah, I mean, we can already review that and as a council, right? I mean, I think Susan, if they're gonna create a new position, we have to create the piece of the job description where we're responsible for and all that, right?
The commissioners create the job description, you put them in the salary ordinance.
Right.
And you would also have to appropriate additional dollars into their budget. So commissioners have one step, you all have two steps in order to put a new position on the books.
We pretty much already have a a default freeze for additional employees by not taking action on that. But what this is doing is basically establishing a county council policy that says we are implementing a temporary hiring freeze for additional employees. That's pretty much all we're doing with this vote, is establishing.
I think that's the discussion that Scott wants to have.
Yeah, and I would support it if it didn't say additional employees. I mean, I think it should be just any non-essential employee at this point that's not emergency. I mean, our financial situation, these are the kind of steps that we would be taking if, you know, we're taking our financial situation pretty seriously. And I think it is an issue. I wish Jim and Patrick were here.
Who wants to define non-essential?
If we have,
Well, it's already-
if we have non-essential employees, then why do we have
Well,
non-essential employees?
Yeah, whatever you want to call it. If you're not responding to an emergency, then maybe we should think very closely about the timing of refilling that, I guess.
I'm not ready to go that far yet, because we already have the positions,
Yeah.
and somebody in them, we have those positions for a reason. I don't want to tie a department head's hands to possibly go another month, you know, before they can come to our next council meeting and request an emergency fill of
Refill.
a position.
Refill,
Of a position that somebody has to leave.
Right. Well, do we want to take it, because of the potential state budget constraints, do we want to say no additional and just leave it at that for this point?
We could do that, and then maybe discuss.
Right, we'll see as the state progresses where we end up. We're trying to anticipate what may be coming down the pike there.
Or this is kind of a comical vote, like deciding not to add employees when we really should probably be cutting employees. But anyway, yeah, it's a start.
Go ahead, Susan.
Well, I think it's also worthy of a little bit of thought from you all, that if you want to have department heads and elected officials consider trying to cut something for their budget at budget time, now would be the time to tell them that, right? So that they can start that plan and see if there's anything they can cut. If that's the worry that next year, because of property tax reform and the cuts that are coming in millions of dollars to the county, if that's the concern, then you got to give them some time, right? Time to figure out what can their office do, if there's any trimming that can be done.
Yeah, for 26.
Right,
Tightening the belts, right?
tightening the belt.
It's a very good point, is that a separate entity from this though, correct? It's along
Yeah,
the lines of this, but a
It's along
separate
the lines of
entity.
this, that it's not
And
this
it is,
additional employee.
it's a good point.
I
We
mean,
should,
don't spring it on them in July when they've already turned in their
Correct.
budget.
so how would we word that? What would we express that as?
I think that as we get numbers from Reedy Financial as to what your projected income is going to be, that's going to help drive that. And as we see what the legislature is doing with that property tax reform, that's going to drive a little bit of that conversation. I mean, we may know a little bit more once we get to April, and so we still have, 60 days for them to prepare a budget and consider where they can cut anything if possible. It may not be possible, right? So, but I mean, from my own perspective, just in my office, I have everybody write down everything that they do during the day and where can we gather some efficiencies. I mean, if that's the case, it's a little bit onerous, but,
We can talk about that tomorrow possibly, yes, that'd be appropriate for that, yeah.
Let's be requesting that all the department heads create a contingency plan if we have to make
if
massive
we have,
cuts. Then
that could be,
you are.
what's your backup plan
You
if we have to
prepared
cut?
for this, and if you don't prepare for it, we're gonna have to come in with the axe.
Well, that's a good way to do it, contingency plan, right? So, X
And
percent
we'd
or
rather
something
not
of
do
that
that, we'd
nature.
rather have the department heads
Yeah.
do that, because they know what's most valuable in their office.
Okay, well, we can discuss that tomorrow, it'll be more appropriate. Okay. So I think we're right on this at this point then? We'll just go the other way. Choose the approach you mentioned for tomorrow. Other than that, nothing else on the agenda? Art's not here. Joel, you want to make a motion that we adjourn?
I move that we adjourn.
Jerry.
We'll take a second. Anyone?
One second.
Made, seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Is that a roll call vote?
Yeah.
I didn't think so.
Pretty much in effect now, we're
I know, I'm lucky.
simply having the president.
Like you said,